Lauren from the West Fargo Public Library, here for our special STEM story time. Today's story time is on Rapunzel's Tower. So to start though, we're going to read some fun stories. The first couple are new takes on some fun fairy tales. And the last book is one that'll help you do some thinking in your engineering. All right, our first book is called Once Upon a Goat by Dan Richards, pictures by Eric Barclay. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, a king and a queen wished for a child. Yes, but where would we put it? Asked the king. Next to the vase on the hearth, naturally, replied the queen. Or beside the roses in the garden, the king added. Oh yes, perfect, agreed the queen. One day, their fairy godmother stopped by for a visit. Tell me what you desire, she asked. We'd like to start a family, said the king. We're not particular, said the queen. Glowing skin, bright eyes, and hair like ocean waves should do. Said their fairy godmother. A boy would be great, added the king, but any kid will do. Of course, answered their fairy godmother. Look on your doorstep when the moon is full. At the next full moon, the king and queen ran to the door. Let it be a boy, said the king. With hair like ocean waves, said the queen. Bah, said the goat. I wanted a baby, cried the queen. It's my fault, wailed the king. I said any kid would do, but I never meant this. Reluctantly, the king and queen brought the little beast into their home. Look on the bright side, said the king. We can still hold it like a baby. It has a goatee, replied the queen. We won't need to change its diapers, said the queen. That's disgusting, replied the king. At least it loves the royal roses, said the king. That's it. It has to go, commanded the queen. I guess we're better off now, said the queen sadly. A stand had to be taken for the roses, replied the king. Of course, said the queen. That night it rained hard. It's not our fault we were given a goat, said the queen. Not our fault at all, added the king. And yet I wonder if we were right to send the little fellow away on such a blustery night. Look at him out in the rain. Clearly, he lacks the good sense to find shelter. I suppose he could come in for just a bit to dry off. He looks hungry, said the king. Maybe he could share a nibble or two from our meal. It's late. We can hardly send him away now, said the queen. He shall have to stay in our room for the night. It's only for the night, said the king. One night turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Before long, their fairy godmother returned for a visit. How is everything? Wonderful, replied the king and queen. Perfect. May I see the child? Isn't he darling, said the king. A blessing, added the queen. You must be joking, said their fairy godmother. It's a goat. Yes, left on the doorstep when the moon was full, just like you said. Uh-oh, said their fairy godmother. I'll be back. Oh dear. This is for the best, really. My sincere apologies for the misunderstanding. I'll just return the goat, and that will be that. Wait, said the queen. Perhaps there is an alternative, said the king at last. Yes, I see your point, said their fairy godmother. Well, said the king, not exactly the family we wished for. No, replied the queen, it's better. The end. All right, our next story is another silly take on a fairy tale. This one's called Interstellar Cinderella by Deborah Underwood, illustrated by Meg Hunt. Once upon a planetoid, amid her tools and sprockets, a girl named Cinderella dreamed of fixing fancy rockets. She fixed the robot dishwashers and zoom brooms in her care, but late each night she snuck away to study ship repair. One day her wicked stepsisters came dashing in excited. The Prince's Royal Space Parade! Our family's been invited. I wish that you could come, my dear, alas, no room. Although, why don't you fix that broken ship and fly it to the show? My toolbox, Cinderella cried. We're stranded here, I guess. But Murgatroyd the mouse sent out a cosmic SOS. I'm here, your fairy god robot. I'll make you brand new tolls. You'll need a spacesuit too, of course, atomic blue with jewels. This power gem will speed your ship across the starry sky. It only lasts till midnight. After that, your ship won't fly. Oh, thank you, Cinderella. She quickly fixed the rocket, then tucked the sonic socket wrench inside her spacesuit pocket. She zoomed past stars and nebulae and parked beside a moon. The space parade was glorious. Each starship made her swoon. At last the royal ship approached. Her heart was filled with yearning. The ship of Cinderella's dreams. But heavens, what was burning? The prince's spaceship jerked and hissed and spewed a cloud of grit. The prince hopped out. Oh blast, what now? My chief mechanic quit. But Interstellar Cinderella knew just what to do. She zip-zapped with her socket wrench. The ship was good as new. The prince invited her abroad. Last stop, Galactic Hall. He said, I hope you'll join me for the gravity-free ball. They talked for hours of rocket ships. The time went whizzing by. Then Cinderella saw the clock and said, I have to fly. But wait, the prince called after her. Please tell me how to find. The girl was gone, but she had left her socket wrench behind. The prince sent a transmission to the farthest edge of space. I'll search the cosmos for her. How I wish I'd seen her face. The prince's ship, Grisella screeched. Her sister squealed in fear. The prince won't marry one of us if Cinderella's here. Their mother said, don't worry, he won't find her in this house. I've trapped her in the attic with that useless robot mouse. The prince's cargo door revealed a broken craft within. The girl I seek can fix a ship, so who'd like to begin? He gave the sonic socket wrench to one, then to the other. Alas, they couldn't fix the ship, and neither could their mother. Cinderella struggled, but the space rope held her tight, till Murgatroyd's robotic teeth cut through it in one bite. The ship, it's leaving! Wait, what's this? She made a fast repair, then strapped the rusty jetpack on and blasted through the air. She landed right beside the prince. That wrench is mine, she cried. She quickly fixed the ailing ship. The prince said, be my bride. She thought this over carefully. Her family watched in panic. I'm far too young for marriage, but I'll be your chief mechanic. Amid her fleet of sparkling ships and friends both old and new, a joyful Cinderella cried, my stars, dreams do come true. The end. All right, we have one more story and then we'll talk about our activity. So our last story is not really a fairy tale, but it's about thinking of an idea and what you can do with that idea. So this book is called What Do You Do with an Idea? Written by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by May Beeson. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time, and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you could do with an idea. You change the world. The end. All right. So now we're going to do our activity. So today we're talking about the fairy tale character of Rapunzel. Now Rapunzel lived in a tall tower and she had very long hair. And her hair was how people could visit her because she didn't have doors or stairs. The problem we've encountered is that Rapunzel's tower is too short, her hair is too long. So what we're trying to do today is build a very tall tower, tall enough for Rapunzel's hair. What we're going to be doing is the engineering process. So engineering is when you try to build something, make something, solve a problem by coming up with something new. So that's what we're doing today. So if you got a kit from the library, what you got were a bunch of different cardboard tubes, different sizes, different shapes, a piece of string, and a couple different size paper plates. So things you've probably seen around your house before. So if you didn't get a kit from a library, you can still take part. You could use paper towel rolls if you have those, or other tubes. You could use blocks. Legos would work for this activity. Plastic cups, anything like that would also work for this activity. So our challenge today is to build a really tall tower that stands up on its own, that balances, it doesn't tip over, it stands by itself, high enough for Rapunzel's hair to fall down. So the first thing we're going to think about is how tall do we think we can make our tower? So I want you to grab your string and decide just how tall you think you can make your tower. Make a guess. Just look at it and say, I'm going to make a tower this tall. If you think it's going to be the whole length of the string, that's awesome. Otherwise, if you think it'll be this tall, you can cut off the extra, and you can use this to measure your tower once you have it built. So we're going to guess how tall our tower will be. Once you're done with that, you can set it aside. The next thing we're going to do is go through the engineering process. So we're going to think about our tower before we go ahead and build it. So in the engineering process, there's a few steps along the way. The first thing we do is ask, what is the problem we're trying to solve? What are we trying to build? So today we're trying to make a taller tower for Rapunzel. That's the problem we're trying to solve. Her tower is too short, so we want to build one that's tall. Our next step is to imagine. So how could we build that tower? Start envisioning, picturing your tower in your head. Is it going to stand up straight? Is it going to have 2 legs? Are you going to use all of your tubes? Are you going to use just a few? What is that tower going to look like? The third step is to plan out your tower. So now that you've imagined it and know what your problem is, You're going to plan it out. So you're going to grab your supplies and you're going to start thinking, maybe this one should be the bottom. This one I could set on top. Think about how you could use your paper plates. Should this go on the very top? Maybe that's where Rapunzel sits. That's her tower. That's her room in her tower. So think through that. Plan out how you're going to start to build your tower. The next step is to create. Now we're actually going to build our tower. So now grab all of your pieces, think through your plan, and start to actually put them together. Stack them on top of each other. If you have a library kit, some of the tubes might be a little smaller than others. They might be a little thinner, so it could be a little tricky. So you have to try it out, see what works, what do we need to do, how can we put things together. Now once your tower is all standing up, our last step is to improve. So look at your tower. Is there anything you can improve? Is it standing up by itself? Is it sturdy? Is it balanced? Or do we need to adjust things? Could we make it taller? Maybe it is as tall as you think it can be, and that's great too. The final thing we do once we build our tower is we're going to grab that string we used at the beginning and see if our guess was right. Use this to measure. One end will be at the top of your tower, one at the bottom. See if you were right. Did you make a right guess? Were you close? Could you make your tower taller to reach the top of your string? See how tall you can build Rapunzel's tower.